The prodigal son. We know the prodigal son. We know the story backwards. We know it forwards. We know it backwards. We know about the self-righteous son. We know about the son that wandered off. Of course, many people say it shouldn't be called the prodigal son, really. It should be called the extravagant love of the Father, and I think that's true. I think this is what the whole Scripture is about. This whole Scripture tells us about grace, and it tells us about the character of God. God's character and the grace that we receive. And for us, as we live in the world, this just doesn't seem right. Even to our ears, if we heard it for the first time, we would say, this is not fair. You can't go and waste everybody's hard-earned assets and have no consequences. It's a scandal. It is absolutely 100% scandalous. But that's grace. Grace is scandalous. None of us get what we deserve. We get what Jesus gives us instead. And that is phenomenal. That is extraordinary. It's extravagant. Because we really don't want to get what we deserve. We look forward to be in relationship with the Father, and we are excited about what we receive from the Father as a free gift. But grace is scandalous because we look at other people just like the brother. How can you do this? This son of yours, notice how he doesn't say my brother, this son of yours, he's taken money that you earned, that we all together broke our backs to make this, and he squandered the whole thing, and look what you did. Instead of punishing him, you celebrate that he's back. This is not fair. And the Father doesn't get into an argument about being fair or not. Doesn't get into an argument. Recognizes grace isn't fair. Simply says, your brother has come back to life. We celebrate life. We celebrate the fact that this man who was once dead in our eyes and was estranged from us is no longer estranged. The rest doesn't matter. Fairness doesn't come into it. Just look at my heart, the Father says. Understand my character. Understand the truth of my love. And I think there are two things that really stand out for me and have always stood out for me in this passage. And one of them is the freedom that the Father gives. The freedom that the Father gives the Son. And that's the freedom that we enjoy in relationship with God. The young son comes to dad and says, I want my inheritance now. You should try that with your own parents. See how that goes, right? See how it goes. Go and talk to your parents and say, listen, I know better than you. You're all stupid. You don't know what to do with it. I've got a better plan for my life. I'll take my inheritance right now. See how far you get, right? But see how ridiculous it sounds. We laugh about it and say, no, that's just crazy. Nobody would do that. It doesn't make any sense. But the Father says, I will give you the freedom to go your own way. I'll give you the freedom to choose your path. I will even fund your freedom at my cost. Go. I trust you. I've created you to live a life and make decisions for yourself, to be free, to live free, not to live enslaved. The gospel is about living in freedom, and that means sometimes we make dumb choices. And we're allowed to make dumb choices because we live in freedom. And the prodigal son made some terrible, stupid, dumb decisions. But his dad didn't say, no, you can choose to either stay with me and enjoy this lovely land we've got and this life, or if you want to go, you're on your own. He didn't say that at all. He said, no, true freedom is having the resources that you would have wherever you were. And I'm prepared to give you those resources. I'm not cutting you off. How many times have you heard people say, well, if you want to go your own way, you fund it yourself. I'm not going to do it for you. You choose not to do it my way, I'm not giving you a thing. And God says, no. No, I'm not into manipulation. I'm not into coercion. I'm not into slavery. I trust you. I believe in the choices that you make. You're going to live in freedom. This is a tremendous thing for us. What great news. What great news for us that God doesn't bully us into a relationship with him. He doesn't try to exert power over us and say, you must be with me to get my blessing, to get this stuff. But if you're not, you're out in your ear. He doesn't say that. He says, I love you for who you are. And I know you're going to make mistakes. I know you're going to make terrible mistakes, stupid mistakes. You're going to throw stuff away. You're going to damage people. You're going to damage yourself. I know that's going to happen. But I'm still going to love you. And I'm not going to turn off the tap. I'm still going to be there for you. See, we wouldn't do that, would we? We're too proud. We wouldn't do that. No. I know best. So you'll do it my way or you're out. Not God. God is, you live free. You live free. Now, of course, there are consequences for living free. Sometimes you end up in the pigsty. Living free means that, yes, we can make great decisions, and other times we turn away from God and we end up in the pig dung. And how many times have we lived our life and we've ended up in the sty? But like the young fellow, what does he do? He comes to his senses. Don't you love the words? He came to his senses. He recognised, this is where I am. I could be there, but I'm here. And the reason I'm here is not because God cut me off. I can have no bitterness towards God. He didn't cut me off and say, you're out. Quite the reverse. He said, I love you. You've got everything. I put myself here. I chose to live here by my squandered life, my squandered opportunities. Now I'm returning to the Father. I recognise where I am. I recognise I did it. I take responsibility. So I'm going to go and I'm going to turn to the Father. But living in freedom means that as he returns to the Father, you know this story, and isn't it beautiful? The Father doesn't stand there in judgment with his arms crossed and a scowl. He runs. How many of you have had your Father run to you with delight? You say, I never had that experience. Not once did I ever have that. I never had that experience when my Father ran to me with delight. My dad was wonderful, don't get me wrong, but I just imagine what it would be like to run to you with delight in your eyes. Picture that. Picture your own dad looking at you with just overwhelming love, running to you with delight. That's what this guy got. So all you fathers, you know what you have to do to your kids. You have to run to them with delight in your eyes, all right? Expect a bit of that over the next week. Run to your children with delight in your eyes. See, it doesn't happen. This guy who thought that he was going to be shamed was not shamed. The Father ran with delight. And here's the perverse thing about the whole thing. He was restored. He didn't have to stay in the Father's household ashamed. He didn't have to put on shame and walk around with shame. He was restored. He had a robe and a ring. I'm sure he doesn't smell either after he came back. He was cleaned up. Because we can also say to people, I forgive you, but you have to live in shame for a while to make it up. You had that experience? We've had that experience. Yeah. I know you're sorry. Now show me. Show me how sorry you are. Live in shame. Live with your head down and your tail between your legs for a while so I can see that you really mean it. I want you to live in shame. And God says, that's just not on. I don't do that. I don't make you live in shame. Shame is something that comes from the evil one, not from me. I am a God of glory, and you as my people, you live in my glory. You don't live in shame. So if you're reconciled to me, shame doesn't come into it. How could I possibly shame my own flesh and blood? How could I shame myself? This restored child doesn't live in shame. He lives in the glory of who he is. And we too. You see, we can be tough on ourselves and we can make ourselves live in shame. How many times do you feel ashamed? And you go, why did I do that? I'm such a... And you feel ashamed. We put shame on ourselves. The world puts shame on us. Our friends, even our most loved ones, the ones that are closest to us, can shame us and make us feel ashamed. And God says, this is not from me. When you're experiencing this, this is not from me. This does not come from my heart. The Father's heart does not have any desire for you to be shamed ever. The Father's heart says, I'm going to push that away out of your life as you live a victorious and glorious life. Because that's what he says. A restored life is sharing in his victorious life and sharing in his glorious life. Now, I talked about what the glory of God is before. It's only like 3 or 4 weeks ago. If you don't remember it, look it up on YouTube. That's how we live. It's how God wants us to live. So we shouldn't live ashamed. We should live free. And we should accept the grace, recognizing that it's scandalous, thankful, but confident in the grace of God, in his consistency, in his character. It reminds me of my dad. My dad was a wonderful man. I was very, very blessed to grow up with a terrific dad. And when I first started to drive, I got a car. And it was a lovely car. If you've read Life in the Vine, you'll know that it was an EH car. And Dad bought me this vehicle and said, righto boy, here's your license, you got that. Here's the car. There's the car. I've insured it. I've registered it. It's roadworthy. I trust you. Now, fate was to prove that was a dumb decision. But he said, I trust you. It sounds familiar, right? I trust you. I trust you. He said, now this is what I need you to do. I need you to put a little bit aside each week, just a little bit for the registration and the insurance. Right? That's really important you do that. I paid for this year. Now you're working, you need to put a little bit aside, just a tiny bit, so that when the rego and insurance comes next year, you can pay it. You got it? Got it. But I need you not to drive stupidly, right? And don't have any of your idiot mates yahooing and carrying on and egging. Right? He said, can I trust you? I said, of course you can trust me. I'm your only son. You can trust me. Your only son. Would I betray you? Would I betray your trust, your confidence, your resources? Would I do that? Well, a year had gone by. Crazily, there was no money in my bank. I hadn't put aside a little bit. And I got paid, and it was... Now, the rego and insurance, that's more than I earn. And I've got to go out with my friends, and I've got this to do and that. I'll take a risk of driving for a week. I'll be fine. I'll work overtime next week. I didn't go to Dad and say that because I was ashamed. Get it? I was ashamed. I'd let Dad down if I would have said to him, look, I didn't budget like you asked me to. I didn't want him to feel, I didn't want to disappoint him. I didn't want to shame him. So I was very much ashamed. I can do it myself. The second week went by. Oh, guess what? I didn't crash or anything else. I can, I'll work twice as hard the following week to make enough money to pay the rego and the insurance. It's now 3 weeks that this has not been insured or registered. Well, you know what happens next, don't you? You know how the story ends. Badly. Not really badly for me, but coming along, and I'm driving along and driving on a gravel road, put the brakes on, and the car just straight into the side of another car. Not a lot of damage, but the fella gets out and says, well, how long have you been driving? I said, just a year. He says, you get the hang of driving on these things. Anyway, he says, you got your licence and rego? I said, well, about that. He said, just give me your details. I said, we're all young and stupid once. Here's the thing. I won't say anything if you just fix my car. I don't want to see your life ruined and all that sort of stuff. And I went, oh. Well, I didn't have money to fix his car. I didn't have anything. What was I going to do? But I agreed, sure, that's a great idea. So guess where I went? Where do you think I went? Dad. So I went to Dad and I said, now you know how you asked me to save? Didn't do it. You know how you said don't ever, ever drive without insurance? Yeah. You know how you said that it's illegal to drive unregistered? Yeah, I did that. And you could just see my dad's head spinning, right? He was completely, and he started to shake with rage, right? Just shake and shake with rage. And then I said, and I had an accident. Well, he did not throw a party. After he yelled at me for a while, and there was a bit of yelling, as you could imagine, he said, get the bills. So I ran and got the bills. I said, well, here's the rego, here's the insurance, and here's the quote for the repair and everything else. And Dad's opening his checkbook, and as he's writing each check, he's telling me, don't ever do this again, and don't ever do this. What's interesting is, the next day, I was restored. The next day, Dad says, you take me down to the shops? What a wonderful thing to say. Let's go in your car. He trusted me again. I trust you again. I know you've done something that you thought was unforgivable. You betrayed me in every way. Let's go together. I want to be with you. I trust you, and let's go. I want you to take me. I felt $1 million. I'm driving around my car, newly registered and insured. Dad beside me, and Dad looking at me with pride in his face. After what I'd done. You see, I experienced the Father's heart. Now, we all have situations where we feel like, this is my fault, I've done it, I'm here by my own actions, despite the goodness and the freedom that God's given me, but we can confidently return. We can confidently return to God, and we will not be shamed. That's the point. We will not be shamed. And it's not going to hang over our head to pay for it over a period of time. God's not going to put us down, quite the reverse. When we humble ourselves, God renews us and he elevates us, restores us, and puts us back right next to him. Right next to him, with a new robe and a new ring. This is what I love about the prodigal son. That we have the freedom to live. The freedom to live with all the blessings that come as God's people. And when we muck it up, we can return because we know the Father's heart. Why don't we pray? Lord, as we hear your beautiful story today of the father who ran with joy in his face towards his son who returned to him. Lord, we know that we drift, and sometimes we intentionally walk away, and we will end up in the sty. And yet when we turn to you, we can trust your heart. We can trust your character. We don't have to live in shame. Shame does not come from you. We can live in your grace, your scandalous grace, and we can live in your authority, in your glory. In your holy name we pray, Lord. Amen.